All right, for more on this, let's welcome SABC News correspondent Blake Sifton, who joins us live from Tel Aviv. Blake, it's good to have you with us on SA today. Good afternoon. So talk to us about the alarming increase now in the suspected reported attacks, as well as these unidentified flying drones or objects that are reported by those aboard the flotilla. Has there been any confirmed attacks on the flotilla so far?
Good afternoon. As the Gaza flotilla that attempts to break the naval blockade, the Israeli naval blockade of Gaza, gets closer to the coast of Gaza, these attacks do seem to be stepping up. Organizers of the flotilla said that overnight drones dropped flashbang grenades, they sprayed chemicals, and they dropped what they called explosive flares on boats that are part of this flotilla. There was damage, we understand. The UN has spoken out against this. They've said that there needs to be an independent probe into these attacks, and whoever is responsible needs to be held accountable. We've also interestingly heard from Italy's defense minister. He's condemned this attack, and he has dispatched an Italian naval vessel to the area to offer any assistance the flotilla may need. Now, these attacks come after the Israeli Foreign Ministry on Monday said that they would not allow, that Israel would not allow this flotilla to reach the coast of Gaza, and they accused it of serving Hamas. Of course, in the past, in June and July, other boats that attempted to run the naval blockade of Gaza were stopped by the Israeli Navy. They were intercepted, the activists were arrested, and they were eventually deported. So with Israel vowing that they will prevent this flotilla from reaching the coast, and with the flotilla now passing by Crete, by Greece, and getting closer to Gaza, it is reasonable to expect that we will see more incidents like this.
But is there any security guarantees, Blake? Because these are activists from different countries, and an attack on them would certainly ignite an unprecedented response globally. These are unarmed civilians carrying aid and delivering a message and a show of solidarity with the people of Gaza. So more than 60 Palestinians, we understand, have been killed in the war-devastated Gaza. Just earlier today, Blake, we saw protests right outside Netanyahu's office, I think yesterday, in another call for the release of the hostages. So what is the latest in that regard as well, Blake?
The latest in Gaza City, I'm sorry if I heard you correctly, as you say, more than 60 people killed across Gaza today, 45 of them in Gaza City. The Israeli military, in their offensive to seize and occupy Gaza City, are pushing further into the city, we understand. Tanks are now being seen in central areas. The Israeli military says that now 640,000 Palestinian civilians have fled Gaza City. That's out of a population of 1 million. And while the pace at which people are evacuating Gaza City is picking up, of course, that means that 360,000 people are still left behind in that city. And we're seeing relentless bombardment by both artillery and airstrikes. Many people say that they want to leave, but they can't afford it. We understand that the price now to be relocated from Gaza City to the south on one of the trucks that is available to take you costs around $2,000. Of course, that's well beyond the means of many people at this stage in the war in Gaza. Other people say they want to leave, but they are too sick, or they're too injured, or their family members are too sick or too injured to leave. And still others believe that nowhere in Gaza is safe, and that there's nowhere for them to go. The Mawasi so-called safe zone, where the Israeli military has ordered the civilian population to relocate to, the UN says it's overcrowded. They say that the hospitals are already over capacity. And of course, those so-called safe zones have seen airstrikes in the past. So people in Gaza City who haven't left yet don't know what to do. They're scared, they're confused, and they don't really have a good option at this stage.
Blake, I mean, is there any headway around, of course, those ceasefire talks, since, of course, the United States had vetoed the sixth demand, I mean, for the sixth time? Because we understand at the stage, especially during the UNGA, where the topical issue of the Palestinian statehood is currently dominating the agenda out at the UNGA. I'm
sorry if I heard you correctly again. In terms of a ceasefire, there are the hopes are not high on a ceasefire anytime soon at this stage. Of course, following the attack on Hamas's negotiating team in Qatar, which is, of course, one of the two main mediators in this conflict, Qatar has said that their top priority is now their national security, and that mediating a ceasefire deal is now their second priority. So they do not seem to be as involved or as willing to be involved. Of course, we still don't know what became of most of Hamas's negotiating team. We know none of them were killed, but we don't know about any injuries or if they're incapacitated or what their willingness to negotiate is. And of course, Israel has never even responded to the ceasefire proposal that was on the table that Hamas agreed to, that would see a 60-day ceasefire in exchange for half of the hostages remaining in Gaza released, more aid, as well as Palestinian prisoners being released. Israel never responded to that. They said they wanted all hostages released on day one. They want Hamas to be disarmed. They want Gaza to be demilitarized, and they want a new entity that's not Hamas and that's not the Palestinian Authority governing Gaza. And of course, those concessions, those demands were far beyond anything that was on the table and far beyond anything Hamas was willing to accept. So at this stage, with the offensive on Gaza City proceeding full speed ahead and with no real ceasefire negotiations to speak of, the idea of a ceasefire seems more remote than ever.
A very comprehensive update there. Thank you so much to Blake Sifton, our correspondent, reporting live to us from Tel Aviv. Is of course the flotilla that is ferrying multinational activists to Tunisia, carrying the much-needed humanitarian aid and also advocating for the end of atrocities in the region.